Alright, we're going to see exactly how far we can take this. As you can see, I have an iPhone. We're going live. It's going to be a ridiculous shot. I think actually this is what I'm going to do. Switch to overwide. Still trying to figure this part out. One sec. This is ridiculous. I don't think it's gonna work. One sec. R.I.P. Let's try it one more time. This time from this side. It's ridiculous. I should really just restream it. But we'll give it a shot. Anyways, if you're just tuning in, I swear to God, we're gonna cover Ableton at some point. Okay. I made the sick beat and everybody needs to listen to it, so. Okay, that's a lot better. I have myself a pocket operator and it's got a sound to it. I want to sample it, but at the right BPM, so we're going to start at 128. Go ahead and arm this and solo it. I'll go ahead and record into here. 2, 1. Okay, maybe some effects on top. That'll work. Okay, so now I'll go ahead and stop this thing. We're going to go ahead and increase the volume. I'm going to keep it to beats, forward transitions. That moment of silence is our 1. Pretty sure that's so. Yeah. Okay, so that captured using a pocket operator. Oop. One of these provided that beat. We're just going to have that stem all the way over. Should be the right BPM. So I think that should mix in pretty well. Here's without the beat. This is what I have so far. Pretty nice fat beat, also a lot of bass, so we're gonna have to control that. I found the culprit. Bass 2. So I don't want that pop. There we go. I have it driven quite a bit. So now we have this beat underneath, right? Almost there. Sounds kind of cool. That's how I'm going to slice it up. I think that's how I want to construct it. I'm going to go -6 on the channel. Okay, not bad. It's kind of repetitive, so I'm going to have to figure out some way to introduce it on just maybe these parts. Maybe if I flip the orientation. Now remember, it's a mono signal, so it's dead center. Can be useful or can be irritating. Either way, I'm going to put this DR tonic. It comes from the Pocket Operator tonic. If you're interested in buying anything Teenage Engineering, Crescendo, this is your one and only plug. Just kidding. Crescendo is where I work on Wednesdays. It's a fine audio shop, which means hi-fi that you probably shouldn't touch, but also affordable things. Literally, this is, well, as you can see, very, very affordable. It's a Pocket Operator. It's a sequencer made by Teenage Engineering. They've been making it for the last 11, 12 years, actually. It's very handy for moments like this, where I'm trying to create a new beat or trying to add some kind of situational awareness to your song. I guess that's the best way. It's pretty nice. I'm a sucker for chimes, so I'm gonna introduce that as like an Okay, might work with that one a little bit later here. I have an idea. SY Vox. But for now, I actually just wanted sound effects. So I'll go to my sounds. It's a good one. Just a straight. Something like that. A little bit more gritty. -12. Lots of reverb. Lots of reverb. And it needs to come in pretty much right there. And I want it to be particle-y, so I'm going to warp it with texture ×2 and really stretch it out. ×2 again. I also want it to duck underneath everything else, so just like in all my other individual tracks that require it, compressor's the next thing. So there we go. I'm going to add that after the fact. And I'll add some pump to it. Obviously we need to carve out a lot of that mid part. I actually might just do this since it's textured. I'm just adjusting the flux now. Wonder if I could resample that. Give me a sec. You can't automate texture grain for some reason. I could just assimilate that using a grain delay, but I like the effect. It's more cutty. So I'm going to choose resampling, hit enter. Now we're just doing this one. And my goal is to make it work. Okay, here we go. Start grain size 2, and then almost there. Okay, I think that one I can actually repeat on, so that takes all the work that we did, basically hand automating the grain size and the flux, using texture as our warp method to achieve this staticky kind of sound. You can even get more staticky with it if you approach beats forward. Well, never mind, that's just one. Okay, I'm going right back. It's a very aggressive sound, so -12 on the output. I'm going to go ahead and delete the source. I now have my original DR chimes. And it's more so an effect, so maybe I'll just change the name of that here soon. Go down to our effects group, which now has a nice. Now we have a unique sound that kind of sits in the background. Perfect. And then we could taper it off. Awesome. So obviously we need some kind of vocal. I was really thinking about getting a vocalist, but I figure maybe I should just do it. But I don't even know what to sing about. This song's pretty hype. Kind of reminds me of Wildfire by Subtract or anything Paul Hardcastle, but he was a bit political. It's November 4th. We've already surprisingly had enough. So I'm just going to figure out who sings well, I guess. I have a shortcut, and it is using, hopefully I'll be able to find in my drum samples here. Maybe not. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I would want to add. Maybe a jungle break. If that's the case, I need some breakcore stuff. It's already a pretty full drum. It's already a pretty full stack in the mids. The bass is obviously swelling everything, which sounds great, but it has a clean response all the way down too. Not bad. Okay, but how is it with that supercharger? I have a dip right at 343, around 350, depending on what's in your key. We'll get rid of any weird mid roughness. It creates this dense edge that's really prevalent in tech house. It's all about cutting out just the low mids so that there's enough time for your subwoofer basically to spring back and catch the transient of the next beat, which in breaks is absolutely crucial. You can't have slurry beats. You have to have very punchy grammatical beats. Alright, so already I hear some conflicting with the bass and the kick, and they need to work really well together, otherwise this doesn't really work well. So I'm going to go ahead and enable that. I'm going to bring this down so I can see kick and the bass at the same time. Actually, these both should always live up top. Makes your mixing a whole lot more natural, in my opinion. I guess you could do it however you want. So there's our kick. As you can see, it's a pretty round kick. Doesn't have too much attack to it, so actually I might want to change it to something that slaps a little bit more. You can correct a 909 kick by adding an 808. You can also, I could probably find something really cool in terms of kick on this. It sounds really tinny right now, but it's one of my most powerful synths that I have. Well, let's see if I can find a good, it's a pretty nice round kick. Okay, I think I found something. Let me plug in. Let's see if this is the winner. Oop. Hang on. Okay, I'm going to turn up my gain here. It's a nice soft kick, but I think it'll add some kind of roundness to it. So again, I'll just solo. It's coming in from one channel, so we don't have to worry about recording both. And actually, it's pretty good practice to have a core kick or bass element, or both, that sits right in the middle so that it hits your sub twice as hard. But anyways, I'm going to go ahead and record a few right there. Go back into this, find the first point. So now I have kind of a slice. As you can see, it's a very basic triangular wave. That's all it is. And that gets you just that with a little bit of noise up top. It's good. Kick, tonic, just so I know where it's from. And then that's going to sit up top with our kicks. Or kick, yeah, okay, cool. Now as you can see, this one already has something loaded into it, so if I just drag and drop this, then boom, we're good. But before you do that, any changes in particular, oops, I won't even warp it. Any changes in amplitude need to be conserved using the consolidate method. And then back into the remix, drag and drop, that will retain that loudness that we're looking for right away, much so that -12 is perfect. Delete your original source. And now we have two kicks that will be working as long as the MIDI, which in this case, all we have to do is preserve the kick. So I'll highlight all, and then I'll just duplicate. Oops. Perfect. Upwards. Now we have this kind of thuddy, thumpy kick. We can obviously change that. I'm going to go back. I'm going to see where the boom is coming from. It's definitely from the... Okay, got it. Same key. There we go. Now it has a little bit more grit. We'll probably catch the beat a little bit easier. Okay, now, as we could hear that, it's nice to have that staccato sound, so I'm going to decrease in this wah sound. I'm probably going to decrease the sustain. Not so easy. I think that part actually makes more sense. I'm going to load it up a little bit though. And then I want to make it quicker, so I'm going to adjust my filter envelope. There we go. Okay, yeah, I'm starting to hear kind of where it wants to go. We're going to need some shouts. So, brace yourself. Sounds. Shout. Nothing. Voices. Alright, it needs its solid beatbox set. I think that's what's missing. It'll give drum breath, I think. New clip, solo. So what does the kick sound like? Kind of defeats the kick. What are those? Okay, double it. I only want it on the fourth. Yeah. now I've really juiced up the kick enough to where it's competing with the bass line. An EQ8 will help that. If you just put it on the end, carve out all the low end, literally all of it. I'll even scoop this up so you can see it. It literally, there's a part that it hits you hard. It's around 100 to 150. And then it just gets thuddy after that. But as you can hear, it has no low end. So we're going to go down to 50, which is half of where we were. Harmonically, it should be around there. And if it competes, then that means one of these things is not working. I want them both to work, but you can hear how high it hits compared to everything else. Okay, I'm going to try something. Digging into, so I gave myself a challenge to basically find, using just regular media that I have, whether it's phono, LPs, records, or CDs. I even have a radio. I was going to sample some stuff from the radio. Actually, not a bad idea. Let's just see how far I can go with this. No mistakes. Just do it. So anyways, I have a radio with me. Old school jail radio. And we're going to tune in and see what we can find. There's some crazy stuff, actually. Pump it up a little bit. So before we actually get anything, I have to record this. Insert audio track solo. I'm going to record it on both channels. Soloed. Great. No loop. Great. Okay, so now we're recording. Perfect string.
Right. Turnpike, he's not coming back.
Just ask the Hebrew.
Well, now I found some other drums, but basically I found all the content that I need to make a successful beat on the radio. All I have to do is just excite it, obviously quite a bit, consolidate it without any warp, -12 so I don't blow my eardrums, voila. Well, not voila. I'm going to listen for good one-shots, basically. Now, the strings were cool. Yeah, that was cool. That was actually probably the best find. So I'm going to take the strings from the radio. Is there a mode change? Oh yeah, right there. Cool, so that part. I'd say that's probably it right there. So now we got nice strings. And of course it's quite a bit, so I'm just going to say SY radio strings. For synth. Synth has just multiband to bring everything up, so I think that's perfect. I'll go ahead and solo out the synths now. So you can hear there's a lower conflicting note. It's kind of hard to tell. Actually, if I switch my 1 to a high shelf, I can kind of find the sweet spot. and I don't want it to be too muddy. We can bring the, up the high end and then carve. Now it has this kind of glittery effect. Always pass it through saturator, always. Gets a little bit more crispy. And then the last biggest thing. Probably a sidechain compressor to give it some duck. And all the way down. Mind you, that is a mono signal, so I want to give it some width. Best way to do that is probably a chorus effect. So I'm probably just going to add chorus ensemble, yep, and then before the compressor, right before the saturator. And I want it to be slow. I want it to have some kind of breath to it, so I'm going to add some warmth, slow down the rate, increase the amount. Cool. Didn't have to come up with strings for this one. So that part we could probably use as our basis for where we're going to go. This is one part that maybe the first 4 elements right before the build will have some kind of decrescendo right here as it builds into the main part, which will not carry the strings initially. We want the first drop, which is usually at the 33rd measure. We want that to have some space. We don't want to have everything all at once. Remember, it's a big beat and it's going to drop with a very intense kind of mentality, I guess. So the strings may be more so, we'll start right over here. So I'll add a locator, add strings. And then before you know it, right here at 64 is your first break. And then from the break is kind of a teleporting, because within that 4, or even here too, you can determine whether or not you're going to bust into something like a vocal solo or more intense drop. I don't know. It's basically the idea. But with that, you've basically built out the first 2 minutes and 30 seconds of your song at 128 BPM, doing a standard chess move break set right there. Boom. So again, just starts with strings. I like that because that kind of gives it an established cadence. Synth brass is something that I introduce right there on the drop. I'll go ahead and delete the old strings, of course, and no loop. So now that's the part that kind of jumps in. And I want it to, yeah. You can hear that there's an underlying synth brass part. So I'm going to duplicate that track, head into Reactor 6, change something about it. Maybe the preset. I like an organ. I love the organ. I think that's it. I think that's the one. So I'm going to say SY organ is now our follow suit for everything the brass is not going to do, kind of the break parts. So now it has this nice glissando effect. Speaking of, I'm going to change the colors here. They're a little atrocious. Cool. So now, and this one needs to fit. Okay. So you can hear there's a little bit of a weirdness going to it. Less resonance. I take that back. That's the... Nope. That one. Call this whoomp. Bit much. And it's pretty tame there. And then I think I'm going to let it whoomp right there. There's more presence. But that's our pattern. I'm going to go ahead consolidate that. There's that part. I'll let it breathe the first time. Okay, I think that's the cadence for the organ. It's an 8-bar, and then over here. It would be really cool if down here maybe it goes down an octave. Nice. And so not to get rid of all of our work here, but I think that's going to be our new cadence for the brass. Which again doesn't have too much, so I can actually expand the brass beyond just that, maybe more brash of a sound. This will take reactor 6 once again. I grow weary. I think I'm going to switch over to Serum 2. Yeah. I'm going to build my own. So that's currently what I have with whatever effect, I guess. Interesting. I'm going to add some width to it. Unison all the way. Nice wide sound. I want less LFO though. I don't even know where my LFO... Oh, it's the delay. Okay, really pump it up here. I'm going to pump everything through a filter. So currently there's no effect, but as soon as I drag the envelope 2, drag this all the way down, create a nice spike. I have created a pluck, just like that. So what's important about the pluck? The pluck is actually just a hidden brass. That's all it is. You just have to affect attack, hold, the decay, sustain, and ultimately how the release cuts the note. In this case, I want it to open up wide, like a wow. Now you've kind of established this general brash, undriven still. There we go. It's a lot wider, it's a lot more stable. You can also carve out the mids and mimic what you'd hear, especially like mixed in open air. Shout out Broken Skyline. You can see all those harmonics. It's very clean. 1 kilohertz, you start getting more of a thinned out sound. And a realistic recording tapers around 15 kilohertz. But obviously we're going to do a little bit more tuning, starting getting kind of what looks like a Hot Wheels car, and the more you drag it, it becomes a Tesla. And we're also going to get, I'm going to roll off a lot of the low end. keep the focus on where the brass needs to sit. And this will allow us to beef up our brass. So I'm going to say SY beefy brass. And now they now they will live happily together. SY brass, all caps. There we go. And these need to be brassish colors. So there's that one, and then the beefy brass, a little bit more yellow. Cool. So now, weak. Still not full enough, so I'm going to go ahead and those are big, very sustained, or no, very released. And a bit more of a hold. There we go. That's our cadence right there. Now, I hear one stray low note, but that's something that we can work on here later. What is our key? I don't remember what our key is. I think it's an A, so I'm gonna figure out some kind of melodic interval. Not that it really needs it. I'm gonna actually add too much to it. I'd say that's like the last part. So I'm gonna add that to SY. SY last part. Last part. Okay, last pat. So our last pat, last pat. It's even color arranged. Okay. Make sure to hydrate. I'm freaking dying. The idea now is just to build it out. I mean, literally 2 minutes, 30 seconds of a song has kind of just been constructed. It's just a matter of like, what do we want to introduce? What complements or supplements necessary, let's just say, vocal focus before the drop. All these little parts kind of built in, and then eventually it's just kind of brushing it out, finding the parts that actually do kind of play well. Then when they don't play out, then learning how to fix them very quickly. But otherwise, it's color coding. That's actually the key, is good color code. It's a good color code. Boom. And your kicks should always be dark purple. Always. So anyways, there's a good track. Might come back and change it up a little bit, but the general idea, I love those strings just out of blue. And then maybe the bigger thing really is finding the drum bridge between here and there to make this drop the way that we want to. Obviously that's way too much. That makes you think it's going to drop into a house beat, which is cool, because then when it drops into a breaks, the people who like breaks, you'll be able to pick them out in the crowd. Utility. I'm going to start very quiet, and then I'm going to boost it. It's already sitting pretty loud, actually, so I might do -6 on this, and then on the utility, gain, as not to convolute my channels. We'll start this. That's cool because that previews, that causes a little bit of tension as to where we're going. That's cool. Actually, that is such a cool beat. I love breaks because it allows me to compress the drums in a way that's very quick. So obviously a slammed attack, it's right at the beginning. And then usually on the compressor, the decay is no more than 1 millisecond. It's quick. It grips. Allows just a little bit of breath, and then it just brings that floor all the way down. I'm also using a color limiter, which is helping just a standard 1176 compressor with all the buttons in. You can see my attack is super quick, my release super duper quick. Input's still up very low, but my output's been slammed. And that's to help kind of boost the excitation of the drums, which there is a lot of stuff happening with the drums. It's fun. I haven't really even processed the chimes yet, and that's kind of where I want there to be mix it. There we go. Still not entirely sold on this kick, but that's okay. We got kicks for days. I'm gonna save, call it there, go into headphone mode. It's basically where I'm at. But anyways, thanks for tuning. Codakolor,